and welcome everyone to the next installment of the Portent webinar series. My name is Ariana and I will be your moderator for today's webinar, which is Facebook Ads Now, Getting Started Off Right, with our very own Chad Kearns, the PPC Essentials Manager here at Portent. We would love it if you would all join in on this webinar. There are a couple ways you can do that. One is you can ask questions in the Go-To Webinar Questions window, and the other is to, on Twitter, you can tweet us your questions directly using the hashtag PortentU, all spelled out. That's hashtag PORTENT and the letter U. And just so you know, in case you miss out on any of today's webinar or want to review it later, don't worry, because you'll receive a follow-up email which will contain the link to this recorded webinar, a link to the slides to your presentation, and a bit.ly link bundle which will contain any links to the resources Chad will be referencing in his webinar today. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Chad. Hey Chad.
Thanks, Ariana. Oops. Get situated here with the mic. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I'm really excited about today's topic and having the opportunity to present this month's Portent webinar. Advertising on Facebook is something that I've really had a keen interest in, and it's something that I think a lot of inexperienced advertisers struggle with. So hopefully today we can come away with some clarity around starting your first campaign, or if you are already running Facebook ads, hopefully it can provide you with a couple ideas or insights into optimizing what you're doing already. So a couple items to take care of. Ariana already touched on the hashtag, so if you have any questions or comments, just join the conversation on Twitter, and that's hashtag PortentU. And as Ariana also mentioned, I have created a link bundle for today's webinar, and later today I'll be uploading my slides from this presentation there. Also, I've included a couple resources, some insights on Facebook, and some other kind of tools to use when working through your campaigns. So a little about myself here. Again, my name is Chad Kearns. I'm the PPC Essentials Program Manager here at Portent. And PPC Essentials is Portent's small business paid search account management service package. Working through this package and building it and working with the clients, I've really gone on to specialize in working with small and medium businesses, primarily through new account setups. So working with people to refine their goals, work with their budgets, and then devise a strategy for just getting started. And then the other piece of what I do here is support the business development team. So working on prospective clients when they come to us with accounts, working through what they have going on and providing solutions around their advertising goals. So that's enough about me. Let's get to why we're really here. So when I started thinking about presenting this webinar, I started with who would be joining us today, and I kind of grouped users into two different segments. The first are people who haven't advertised on Facebook before. They don't know much about it, but they know that Facebook is a productive way to advertise, and they just don't know much about it, and they want to start. The second is for people who've tried advertising on Facebook, but they maybe were unsuccessful. So I'm sure that there's people not in these two segments, but I was really hoping that these are really the two types of people who are going to be signing up for this webinar. And that's really what I've devised, or I've really designed this, the content around here today. So while we're all attending for one reason or another, people and users on Facebook are the real reason that we're here. So over 825 million people across the world are defined as daily active users on Facebook. And 125 million of those people are in the US and Canada. So I'm sure there may be some marketers and some advertisers joining us today who advertise in markets outside of the US and Canada, but I think the majority of you are going to be sticking to our domestic market and also the Canadian markets as well. And so what those 152 million daily users really represent are potential customers for you. So shifting focus to the advertiser side, $1.3 billion was spent on Facebook by advertisers in just the US and Canada. And that's just in 3 months. So just in Q2 of 2014, $1.3 billion. And Facebook's revenue from ad spend is growing immensely. So year over year ad spend has increased 54% on the platform. And what that really means is that advertisers are running to Facebook and saying, hey, here's my money, I want ad placement on your platform. And Facebook gladly takes their money. So what I found through my time working with inexperienced advertisers on Facebook is that they really start spending money without a plan. They don't understand the capabilities that Facebook has to offer and how to execute an effective campaign. And to me, that's kind of like going to the fair and playing the games. It's like you think it's a really good idea and it seems like you can win, but more times than not, you just end up wasting your money and it's not really that much fun at all. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about today, and I want to make sure that we cover. And the first thing really starts with goal setting. As I'll touch on here, without setting a goal when you begin your campaign, it's going to be really, really hard to, first of all, prove the value in what you're doing and actually get value. So we'll want to touch on how to set up a goal and what a good goal looks like, and also what a poor goal looks like. Next, we'll move on to ad selection. And the ads that you choose, the ad types, are really going to depend on the goal that you set. After the ad type is selected, we'll go into ad execution, looking at images and copy, followed up by audience targeting. You know, who are your customers, and what do they like on Facebook, and how do we target those people? The final piece of what we'll look at is bidding and pricing. So how do we bid on our ad placements, and how do we make sure to get the most for our money? So what do I want to accomplish today kind of ties in with what we're going to be talking about. Providing guidelines for setting a goal is something that's really, really important. Next, I'll introduce all the different types of ads. There's 9 different ad types that advertisers can currently use on Facebook. And the third thing I want to accomplish is show the different ways and methods for targeting an audience. I think it's really cool, the capabilities that Facebook has around this. And so we'll just lay out, you know, the different types of segments and different types of demographic targeting that are available. And then the final thing I want to accomplish is leave everyone here today with 4 key takeaways. So if you don't learn anything else, I think these 4 things at the end that I want to cover and review are really the most fundamental aspects of what I'll be talking about today. So hopefully at the end of this presentation, I'll be able to provide you with the tools, or at least a couple of insights into how you can pop some of those balloons and actually win at those fair games, or prove your value on Facebook and make it a productive advertising channel for your digital strategy. So before we get into it, we do need to touch on something that I want to make really clear. Facebook is a relatively new advertising platform, and because of that, things change a lot. So it seems like every week options are being rolled out while others are removed from the platform. And the state of advertising on Facebook is quite fluid. And because of that, strategies and capabilities, best practices, they change constantly. So that's why this webinar is called Facebook Ads Now. My intention today is not to provide the concepts and ideas, or my intention today is to provide the concepts and ideas that are at the core of Facebook advertising. So these are ideas that should not likely change in the next 6 weeks. So with that, let's get started. And we'll start off here today with goal setting. And as I touched in my introduction, setting a goal should be the #1 task taken care of before engaging on Facebook. In fact, the platform won't let you begin ad creation until a preliminary goal is chosen. So we'll get to the ad types later when we walk through the ad creation process. So what is a goal, and how should we go about creating one? When you work through Facebook when I've worked through Facebook with clients, we start with 3 areas of focus when working to create a goal. So first, we want to find a quantitative number to work towards. That could be we want to gain 5,000 page likes, or we want to grow page engagement by 33%. Those are quantitative goals that you can measure. Goals like we want to see an increase in likes, or we want more sales and revenue. Those aren't trackable, those aren't measurable. Yes, you can see if there's an increase, but you want to set hard numbers to really work for. The second thing we want to do is set a timeline. Always set a due date for your marketing parameters. So looking at, do we want this campaign to run one week? Do we want it to run a month? Is it running across a financial quarter? A timeline needs to be set so you know that there's a starting point and an ending point. And then the third thing is look at any parameters that might be in play. So is there a certain budget that needs to be maintained? Is there a CPA number or a conversion rate that needs to be reached for profitability? Those numbers and parameters need to be explicitly laid out. So let's look at a couple examples of goals that we want to work towards when starting a Facebook ad push. So here we want to earn 500 page likes in 4 weeks with a $4,000 budget. We have our quantitative number with the 500 page likes, and we have our timeline. So we know that we have 4 weeks to achieve that quantitative number. And then finally, our parameter is a $4,000 budget. So we know what limitations we have to work within to achieve our quantitative numbers and the time frame we have to do it in. With these 3 pieces, we now have an objective to work around in designing our ad campaign. So here's another one. We want to see 2,500 website visits in 10 days through post promotion. So we don't have a budget parameter here, but we still have our measurable number to hit. And then we still have our timeline, our due date, and the method in which we're going to reach our quantitative goals. So again, the parameter doesn't just have to be a budget. It can be just any sort of definition of how you want to achieve that goal. So here we want to create 2,500 website visits only through promoting posts on Facebook. So on the other side of it, it's also good to look at goals that are maybe areas that we want to stay away from. So here, let's spend $7,000 this month and see what happens. We kind of have a timeline, I guess $7,000 this month. So we kind of can derive that we have a due date of a month, but we don't know what we want to get out of it. And we don't really have any real type of parameters on how we want to go about things. Yeah, we have a $7,000 budget, but it's not really clear. With a goal like this, it's going to be very, very difficult to come up with a strategy and then prove if that strategy is valuable. And most of the time when people come to us with goals like this, we really have to work towards a quantitative number, a timeline, and a couple parameters. So here's another one that we want to try to avoid, but this one's a little different. So here we do have our quantitative number in 10,000 transactions. That's something that we can easily measure. We do have a timeline in Q3 of this year. And then we also have a parameter. So we want to make sure that we're achieving these transactions at a CPA, a cost per acquisition of $10. So from what we've talked about so far, this is actually a pretty good goal. It has the 3 components of what we covered. But the one thing here that I want to touch on is the driving on-site transactions. Driving on-site transactions through Facebook from a last click perspective is really, really hard, and it's really hard to do in an efficient manner. Typically when users are on Facebook, they're not really in the buying mindset. They're on there socially, looking around, seeing what their friends are up to or kind of what articles are being posted. They're not in the mindset of looking to go to an e-commerce website and buy something. And for that reason, usually we see conversion rates that are extremely low. So people will still click on the ads, they'll spend your advertising dollars, but they won't actually come through to convert in the end. So wrapping up on goal setting, there's really 4 main ideas to keep in mind and to take away from this section. The first one is it's really, really important to find a measurable number that you can gauge. X number of page likes or X% growth in website clicks, something that can be clearly measured. Then give yourself a due date. 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 financial quarter, whatever it may be. Once you start getting into timelines or due dates that are 6 months or a year long, it's pretty likely that you can break those marketing campaigns up into smaller segmented campaigns and make your timelines a lot smaller and a lot focused. And doing that is really going to help execute on your marketing initiatives. So next thing, and the last, or the third thing here is placing workable guidelines, which are setting parameters in place. So most advertisers that I've worked with in the past don't have an unlimited budget, so that's probably a good place to start. Also looking at numbers like cost per acquisition or on-site engagement metrics, conversion rates, those are a good place to pull parameters for a given campaign. And then finally, to put it simply, don't try to drive direct response from Facebook. Lead generation is a little bit more doable because it doesn't typically, you don't have to actually buy something. You can just submit a name and an email address. But e-commerce is really, really hard. So don't expect a positive return on your advertising dollars when trying to straight up sell your products or product line. Advertising on Facebook should be used to promote content and grow engagement figures. And those are values that should be important to your top of sales funnel and important to the top of your sales funnel. So again, not driving last click transactions or conversions, but kind of getting people in the mindset, getting them familiar with your brand and the products that you do offer. So as a platform with so many different types of content, whether it's posts, articles, events, Facebook's really done a really great job of creating opportunities to sponsor those different types of content. And that really leads into the ad types, which is the next section we'll be going on to talk about. So when you first go to create your ad, the very first thing you'll be asked to do is to choose the type of ad you want to start. And the decision around the type of ad you engage with primarily rests on the goal or the objective you set out to accomplish. So we're going to look at, so here's a look at the 9 different types of ads, and we'll go through all these and kind of touch on a couple key details to have moving forward. So depending on the actions and destination of the user that you want to send to, that's how you select your ad, and it's quite simple to just click through and see kind of what the next step is in the process. So now I kind of want to go through and touch on each of these ads really quickly. So in my experience, the biggest interest in Facebook ads is around page post engagement, page likes, and clicks to websites. We'll get into more details about those shortly. And then the 6 other types of ads that are, I would say, more uncommonly used, but definitely not less significant in value are website conversions, app installs, app engagement, event responses, offer claims, and video views. So starting off here with page post engagement ads, from the left to right, you'll see an example of these ads on the news feed. In the middle, we have a mobile ad, and then on the right, we have a right rail format ad. And page post engagement ads are a great way for companies to further promote their reach on their content. So typically we see these ads used to promote blogs or articles, videos, and it's a good way to direct people to engaging content on your website. Additionally, page posts can be published or unpublished on your company page. So that does provide advertisers with the opportunity and the option to boost content without posting it first. Sometimes the content that you want to spend money on doesn't really relate to your current social media strategy. So promoting unpublished posts is a good way to go about doing that. So next up we have page like ads. And page like ads are designed to drive exactly what the name entails. Growing your community through page like promotion can be really powerful when you're looking to increase engagement numbers on Facebook. So here we have a couple of examples of these ads, and you'll see all of them have a button that says like page, so it's a really easy way for users to convert. They can either convert by clicking clicking that button directly, or they can click the ad, land on your company's page, and then click to like there. So character specifics on these ads are 25 characters for the title and 90 characters for the body. And as we go along, you'll notice that 25-90 character recommended copy is really kind of goes through all the ad types. Now you can add more characters into your ads. Some of them won't let you, but some will kind of separate where you can and can't. But a lot of the times, for some ads that allow for more than 90 body characters in the body or the description, Facebook will actually truncate your ad, and so your message will be cut off. So my recommendation is just to try to stick to that 25-90 ad copy. So clicks to website ads, as the name implies, are used to drive traffic directly to a website of your choice. Again, we have these ads displayed in the newsfeed, mobile, and right rail formats as you move left to right across the screen. So something new that you'll see on these ads is the sign up button, similar to the page like button like that we just covered on the page like ads. But this button is optional for these type of ads, and I recommend using it. And there's also a couple different types of button text that you can opt into using. So shop now, book now, learn more, sign up, and download are button types that you can use with these ads. And typically what we find when we're using these ads are that when the call to action button is used, we'll see engagement rates and click-through rates increase. So a couple more details on clicks to website ads. Again, these are ads that send users to landing pages off of Facebook. So if you're using a third-party tracking for analytics, using UTM tags will help track the performance of the clicks driven by these ads. If you're unsure what UTM tagging is, that's okay. We'll cover that in an upcoming section. And similar to the page post engagement ads, advertisers have the option to link or promote these ads without posting it to a company page. So another way to just kind of give yourself the flexibility there. Website conversion ads are visually formatted the exact same as clicks to website ads. And you'll see a similar call to action button that you can opt into here as well. So the biggest difference between website conversion and clicks to website ads is the requirement of Facebook conversion tracking. And actually, before you get to the ad copy and audience targeting, Facebook's conversion tracking pixel, must be placed on your site and verified by Facebook. So using this type of ad should be used for advertisers looking to drive lead generation numbers and transactions online. The other big difference with these ads and clicks to website ads are that these ads must be connected to a Facebook page. So you can't create website conversion ads that are unposted. They have to be linked and posted to your company page. So moving on here to app install ads, and as you may be able to guess, these ads are designed to drive app installations. So you can show these ads in the desktop newsfeed, but since apps are most commonly marketed on mobile devices, the majority of advertisers are showing these ads on mobile only. So there's two different ways to showcase your app through an app install ad. So on the left here, we have an ad with an image. And then on the right, we have an ad with a short video that's being showcased. If you're gonna go the video route, make sure to keep your videos short, like 15 to 20 seconds, super engaging. And typically when you get past 20, 25, 30 seconds, people are gonna stop watching. So keeping them short, keeping them interesting is your best way to go. So when you click on these ads will send users directly to the appropriate app store, depending on the operating system that they're using. And also these ads are gonna pull the star rating systems automatically from those app stores. They're not going to show up every single time on the ad, but Facebook does have the ability to show star ratings within those app ad install ads. And then looking at the characters recommended for the ad, there's a standard 2590 that we've covered. Additionally, these ads allow for 32 characters to write your app name. App engagement ads can be used to bring existing customers who already have downloaded your ad but maybe don't use it on a regular basis. So on this example here, we have a use app button, but there are also optional buttons for open link, shop now, play game. There's actually 10 total ad button text that you can utilize. So the best way to utilize app engagement ads is by uploading a CSV or a text file of your current app audience and then creating a custom audience. We'll get into custom audiences a little bit later here when we get to the audience targeting section. And then different than app install ads, these are image only, so there's no video capabilities here. And then these engagement ads also carry the same recommended copy specifications as the install ads. So a couple more ad formats to cover here, and we'll move on to event response ads. Currently, these are only available on the right rail and showcase an event's description, date, and time. Additionally, there's a join link within the ad so people can convert directly through the ad, or users can click on the ad and then convert to join an event on the event page. So the most important item to note here on event response ads is that the ad must directly link to your Facebook event, and it must be an upcoming Facebook event. You won't be able to send people to anything offsite or anywhere else on your company page. It has to go directly to the event page. And again, just as a reminder, right now these ads are available on the right rail only. So offer claims are a productive way to promote short-term sales and offers. These ads are available for placement across the newsfeed, right rail, and on mobile devices. You must already have an offer set up on your Facebook page, and that page must have 50 likes to be eligible to run these type of ads. So the standard 2590 character description specifications are recommended here as well. But something unique to offer claims are the terms and conditions. Those terms and conditions are limited to 900 characters. So the final type of ad that we'll talk about today are video views. And video views are a great way to embed a video of your choice directly into a user's newsfeed. Now these types of ads are not great for direct response or driving clicks, but video ads provide a medium to grow product awareness or showcase a service demo video. That's really the best way to use these types of ads. So similar to the app install video ads, short engaging videos are the best way to go. Video ads are supported by a number of file formats, and utilizing a 16:9 aspect ratio is going to give your video the best chance for clarity. So now that we've covered all the 9 different types of ads that you can engage with on Facebook, I wanted to get into links and how those play a role in the ad creation process. So once you have your goal and your corresponding ad selected, the next piece is finalizing where users are going to be taken, based on the given ad that you've chosen. So some ad types like page likes, page post engagements, and event responses will require you to link to a post or a section already established in your Facebook page. App focus ads require you to send visitors to the appropriate app. So only with ads where you can directly send visitors off-site, like clicks to website and website conversion ads, can you set custom URLs to promote. So since sending traffic to assigned posts, tabs, and apps is fairly limited on what you already have, we're going to focus our discussion on links for clicks to website and clicks to conversions. or website conversion ads, excuse me. So hopefully your website has some sort of analytics tracking code enabled, and you're able to use those insights to drive your marketing initiatives. If you are tracking site usage through a platform like Google Analytics or Omniture, you need to add additional tracking to your destination URLs in order for that data and that user information to track properly. So you can do that through creating UTM tags. To start with the basics, these are the 3 parameters that I think provide the most valuable insights into what users are doing once they come from Facebook, once they hit your website after clicking on a Facebook ad. Oops, excuse me. So the source parameter represents where the traffic is coming from. Medium tells your tracking platform how the traffic arrived. Was it from a referral or organic traffic, paid traffic? And since this is going to be these are Facebook ads, we want to count the traffic coming from these ads as PPC. So finally, the campaign designates which ad or set of ads generated the traffic. If you have multiple marketing initiatives going on, designating different campaigns and having a different naming convention for them is going to give you a clear way to segment the traffic by the marketing effort that you're engaging in. So putting it all together will look like the example URL I've displayed here on the bottom of the slide. I've identified the source as Facebook and the medium as paid traffic, CPC. And then the campaign here is webinar. That's just a placeholder and something that we might have done through marketing this webinar. So placing this tag on the end of your destination URL is going to tell whatever third-party tracking you're using, if it's analytics or anything like that, or Google Analytics or anything like that, it's going to tell you the source and the medium, where the traffic came from. And so then you can start to piece together, okay, I spent this much money on my Facebook ads, and once they came to my site, this is what they did. That's where you start getting really valuable information on if your ads are effective or not. So if you decide to go with a round of ads in the website conversions setup, Facebook requires a tracking pixel to be implemented on your website. So if anyone here is familiar with how AdWords sets up their conversion tracking code, it's exactly the same on Facebook. The big difference between Facebook and AdWords when it comes to conversion tracking is usage, and Facebook absolutely requires it. You can't navigate to the next page to complete your ads until the Facebook verification code, the Facebook conversion code is verified on your website. So in AdWords, you don't necessarily have to have conversion tracking. It's recommended. Facebook with website conversion ads, the tracking pixel is required. So best practices for linking your ads, please do it. Track what you're doing. It's going to help you so much when you go back at the end of a campaign and try to see what you got out of it. I know a ton of people don't do it, and I think it's just they don't necessarily know the options and the capabilities that are available. So just take the time to do it, and it's really going to help. It should really help drive your marketing efforts. Also, what I've done here is included a link on this slide, and again, we'll send this deck out to everyone so they'll have it. This link is actually to a Google resource, but what it does is it puts together a UTM code for you. So what you have to do is enter your source, whether it's Facebook, enter the medium. Here we're going to be talking about paid ads, so we're looking at cost per click or PPC, and then your campaign. When you enter those parameters into this tool, it's just going to spit out a nice UTM URL for you to use. It's really convenient and really easy for people who are getting started with this. So next we'll move on to ad images, and ad images are really important on Facebook because the ads are traditionally so heavy with imagery. So it's really important in putting together nice clean ads or nice clean images for your ads. So by default, any ads that are directly linked to your Facebook page, Facebook is going to pull the profile picture to display your post. Now, additionally, Facebook's going to make an attempt to pull the best image off your website typically this is just the first image on your website, and it usually turns out to be something that's blurry and pixelated, doesn't look very nice, and most likely it probably doesn't even line up with the product or service that you want to showcase. So when that happens, we need to make our own images and import them into Facebook's interface. So something on image sizes. There's so many different types of ads and placements where you can be put on Facebook that it's really difficult to find an exact one-size-fits-all ad size. However, a 1200 by a 628 pixel image, or if you can scale it down, you can scale it down to a 600 by 314. That's the most ideal size to start with. If you have the capabilities to go with the bigger 1200 by 628, I recommend doing that. Not everyone will have the collateral to come up with, images of that size, but if you can, that's the best way to go. So a couple other things about images is that there's a 20% text limitation for all ads. So this is really important when it's important not to have first of all, you can't have your ad full of text. It needs to be image driven. Usually the 20% is there for a logo or for a quick message. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is that these images can be scaled down to 100 by 72 pixels, which is pretty small, and those are for the right rail ads. So if you have messaging, or if you're pretty text heavy on your ads, on your images, it's going to be really hard to read, and that's not really something that we want to have going on. So best practices on the images that you select for your ads. There's a couple themes that I've found that drive stronger than average engagement and click-through rates. So bright colors tend to stand out, and clear images really helps. Also, if it fits with your brand and image and purpose, kids and animals drive higher click-through rates. And then finally, if you have a recognizable logo that is well known in your industry, implementing that into your image or part of your image helps significantly. So next we'll talk a little bit about the copy included on your ads. Most of the copy includes a short headline and body text, which we've covered here already. So a couple of basic guidelines here. We've gone over the 25-90 character limits. Again, not all ads are limited to those character limits, but those are kind of the recommended parameters for going at writing copy. Again, you don't really want to have your message cut off or truncated by Facebook's formatting, so sticking to shorter messaging is really the best way to go. And then from a punctuation standpoint, copy cannot start with punctuation, and you can't have duplicate punctuation either, so no triple exclamation points after a message, no matter how cool it is. The only thing that you can do is kind of the 3 dots ending a thought. So best practices around ad copy. When writing your ad copy, keep it concise. What is it that you're promoting? What's your value proposition? Why are you better than your competitor? And what should users do? Should they sign up for something? Are they downloading something, buying something? Tell them directly. That really leads into the second point here, a call to action. Always try to implement a call to action into the ad copy. It's not just something that's practiced or recognized as a best practice on Facebook, but across all PPC platforms. So after putting together your ad copy and images, the execution portion of your ads is done. And it's time to get into the section that I really think is the coolest part about advertising on Facebook, which is the audience targeting capabilities. So building personas around your customers is the way that I like to get started, and it's what I really recommend when starting a Facebook campaign. So just start simple. What are the age of your customers? Where do they live? What gender are they? It's possible that you're going to have multiple different types of personas, and that's okay. Facebook allows you the opportunity to create multiple different types audience segments based on your users' needs. So after you kind of start with a basic profile, can you get more detailed? So what are your customers interested in? What are their purchasing behaviors, relationship status, living situation? All of these things are ways to get more detailed when identifying your audience personas. So the next thing that I want to touch on, and we'll come back to developing personas, but I think it's really important also to speak to the audience definition feature. So you'll find this in the right side of the audience targeting section in the interface. And this meter is going to show you it's going to show you the potential reach and how targeted your audience is. So the gauge here, it's going to show too broad, green section kind of in the right area, and too specific is a little bit too small. So if you're too broad, you need to find ways to tighten your parameters. And if you're too specific, you're probably not going to have enough users to target, and your advertising numbers are either going to be insignificant, or your ads may not be able to show at all. So here we have just users in the United States. There's 184 million of them, and as the meter shows, we're a little bit too broad on our audience. So when we go a little deeper, targeting people between the age of only 21 and 35, that potential reach goes down to 74 million, which is better, but it's still pretty broad. So on the other side of that, if you go too specific, so here we're targeting users in Seattle who are just 18 years old, they go to the University of Washington, and they're in a relationship. There's fewer than 1,000 people on Facebook with those details. And as you can see, our meter here has gone into the red. It's too specific. Launching a campaign around this type of audience segmenting, you're really not going to get much out of it. So it's really about finding a balance between a detailed audience segment and being able to create volume and clicks from your ads. So now with that, we have a better idea of how to utilize the audience definition. We'll review how to target an audience. So starting with the basics, you can define an audience by location. That breaks down to countries, states, cities, even individual zip codes. So you can get pretty targeted with that. You can go segment by age, gender, and language also. And after going after those basic targeting options, there's an option to activate more demographics. And this is where you can get really, really detailed with what you're doing. And so this is really where your persona comes into play. So things like relationship status, net worth, home value, those are just a few extra ways to segment users demographically. So there's my favorite one. There's even a section for moms, big city moms, soccer moms, stay-at-home moms. There's 7 different segments just for moms that you can go after and target. And when you multiply those kinds of targeting options over 20 plus demographics, you can get really specific and really detailed with what you're doing. So while you're doing this, make sure to keep in mind your audience definition. It's really easy by combining just 3 or 4 of these audience demographics to get too specific with what you're doing. So next on the audience targeting, options are interests, and interests are derived from users' specific activities that they engage in on Facebook. So what are people talking about? What are they commenting on? What do they like? These sorts of activities roll into a user's Facebook interests, and there's 9 different topics that break down into more detailed interests. So as an example, here's an example showing how we can target people interested in coffee. And this is nested in the food and drink beverages, then goes down to coffee. So you can get pretty detailed here. And then just again to show the diversity of really all the different types of interests that you can target. Here we go into fitness and wellness and bodybuilding. So if you have a customer, there's probably a way to target them on Facebook. The next type of way to target is through behaviors. And behaviors are derived from information sold to Facebook by third-party data warehouses. So this is information that Facebook purchases and then matches up with individual users. So targeting this style of behaviors is similar to the interest targeting feature. However, these options can sometimes be even more detailed. So here we have the similar coffee segment, but we can actually target this down to users who have shown interest or purchasing behaviors with just the K-Cup brand. Again, these can be really powerful if you're able to identify them and take the time to understand your customers. So adding connections is another way to segment audiences. It's a really great way to segment customers based on a prior relationship that they may or may not have with you. So through these settings, you can target people who are already connected with your brand or company. You can also target people who have never been connected or don't know anything about your company. And then you can get detailed with these as well. So if you want to go after specific pages or apps or events that people are engaged with, they're talking about, they like, you can target those. You can also exclude those as well. And then the other one is targeting users with friends that are connected to pages, apps, or events. So this is an example of an ad that I actually pulled off my own personal newsfeed. And as you can see at the top of the ad, I've blurred out my friend's name. But there's also, so my friend here and 4 other of my friends like Gatorade. Now, I already know what Gatorade is. I know their products. I use their products. So maybe this isn't the best example of how these ads can work really, really well. But if I don't know the company and I see that my friends are using it and they like it and they're interested in it, I'm probably going to be a little bit more interested from a trust factor. You know, I know my friends are doing it. I know they're interested. I'm probably going to go check it out. So the final way to segment an audience is through custom audiences. And what this allows advertisers to do is upload a spreadsheet or a raw TXT file with customer information into Facebook. So you can upload things just like customer names or customer emails, and Facebook can generate an audience based on that information. Facebook's also partnered with MailChimp, so marketers using that email platform can directly import their email list into Facebook and turn that list into a marketable audience. So to finish up on audience targeting, start by identifying your customer personas, then think deeper about them. Get past just the basics about, what they like. Really think about, what they're interested in and what they're purchasing. More importantly, what are their purchasing behaviors? Maybe where do they live? What kind of a relationship are they in? Targeting through Facebook is really powerful for what the capabilities of what you can do. Next, expand into new segments, especially through the audience, the connections that you can make with the audiences, and through custom audiences can be really, really powerful in identifying new segments that you might not already be aware of. And then separate audiences by your ads and campaigns. So don't just group all of your personas into one ad and into one campaign. Facebook allows you the opportunity to segment these users by personas. Different personas wanted to be marketed to in different ways. They have different wants, they have different needs, different value propositions that speak to them. So really cater to that, and that's how you're going to get the most for your ad spend. So I'm going to run through pricing and bidding here kind of quickly, looking at the time, and it looks like we are running out a little bit. So I just want to focus on bid types, and there's really 3 main types of bids that you can engage in on Facebook. And I really want to look at optimize for clicks and optimize for impressions. When you go with these 2 options, Facebook's going to give you the ability to choose then between automatic bidding and manual bidding. So automatic bidding is going to put the ball in Facebook's court, and it's going to allow them to basically make your bids for you, optimizing your bids for to get the most clicks or the most impressions for your daily budget. Manual bidding is going to be set by the advertiser, so they can set their what their cost per click is, they can set that bid amount. It just gives the advertisers more control over what's going on in their account. So finally, we'll get to takeaways, the final 4 takeaways that I want. If you didn't pick anything else up, these are the 4 main things that I think everyone needs to know. The first is around creating a goal. Make sure that it's a quantitative number that you're going after. Set a timeline for that goal, and then use parameters. Following those 3, kind of following this method of these 3 things is really going to help you create a productive goal that you can then measure. Second thing is optimize your ad. Use clear images and make sure in the ad copy there's a call to action. Make it really clear and easy to understand, really what you want your users to do when they see or when they click on your ads. The third thing is get detailed on your audience. Build personas, group those personas into segments, and then try customization as well. Customization is a really great way to get past the basics on building personas, and will unlock an additional audience segment for you. And then the fourth and final takeaway is track your progress. If you're doing website conversion ads, you have to set the conversion code. But if you're not, try to use UTM tagging and use the analytics features that are available within the Facebook interface. And this is tracking the progress is something that I think a lot of advertisers kind of skip out on. But if you do it properly, it's going to help you immensely, and it's really going to help drive your future marketing initiatives. So again, I have put together a Bitly bundle for this webinar today. I'm going to be uploading the slide deck here shortly, so that'll be there. There's also a couple resources, guides for Facebook advertising. The UTM URL builder is there as well, so definitely be sure to check out that bundle and use it as a resource as you go forward. So that is all that I have prepared for today. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chad. I'm sure that a lot of you got some great takeaways and have some things that you're going to do on Facebook ads or get started yourself. So don't forget that the resources, like Chad just mentioned, they'll be at the Bitly bundle, and you all will get an email in the next day or so with the links to the SlideShare, links to the Bitly bundle, and links to the video. So you can replay this as many times as you want, or share it with friends. And it's case sensitive, so be careful with that. You have to use the same uppercase and lowercase. We are now open for questions, and I'm going to read off the questions here. So Maria from Twitter asks, have you used video ads on Facebook? And if so, with what results?
Yeah, actually, we have done those video Facebook ads before. The results are kind of mixed, from one standpoint. Those videos aren't going to drive a lot of clicks to your website. They're not going to drive, I don't know if you're looking to, create leads for your business or sell things. But video ads are difficult to measure, just because people are staying on Facebook. It's tough to view the engagement results. But just my best kind of recommendations for the video ads, just keep them really short. If I see an ad that I click on and I'm kind of unsure about what it may be, and I look at the video and it's a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I'm probably not going to watch the whole thing. But I'll give you 20 or 30 seconds of my time. So just keep it short, keep it engaging. I think that's the best way to get the best results from video ads.
Fabrice asks, what's the difference between Facebook ads versus FBX?
Yeah, and FBX is actually something that I didn't cover today in the webinar. So what FBX is Facebook has partnered with a number of third-party advertisers. AdRoll is a big one. That's one that we use over here. So with traditional Facebook ads, you're logging into the Facebook interface, you're creating your ads there, and you're showing your ads within Facebook. With FBX, what you're actually doing is logging into a third party's advertising platform. Again, AdRoll is the big one that we use here. And because of the partnership that Facebook has set up with these third parties, they allow third party ads to show within the Facebook format. So you can show ads in the news feed and right rail mobily as well. But you're setting up and optimizing those ads in a third party, showing them on Facebook. Facebook, you're going in, setting up on Facebook, and then showing the ads on Facebook as well.
Okay. Mike asks, how do I figure out how much to spend each month?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think the thing to keep in mind before you get started with even making a budget, when you're looking at a Facebook campaign, is that you're not going to see a lot of direct response. So, for example, if you commit $1,000 budget, you may not be able to see exactly $1,000 or more. Hopefully it's more, but you're probably not going to be able to see that return directly. Advertising on Facebook is a much longer play. It's something I touched on, that Facebook conversions, whether it's likes or just engagement on Facebook, is much more top of the funnel. So it's it's introducing your brand, introducing your services, introducing your content, and then hopefully down the line, people come back and convert with you, they become customers, then they become loyal customers, hopefully. So using attribution is a good way to start proving value. So getting to a budget, it really starts with what you're comfortable with the understanding that you're not going to get it back you're not going to get it back directly, a week later or a month later. Advertising on Facebook is a much longer play.
It's basically starting the conversation and trying to get people to be part of your community.
Exactly.
Great. If I only have a couple hours a week for Facebook ads, where should I spend my time?
Yeah, once you kind of have the audience segmenting down and the types of ads, you have your goals in play, those things you can kind of set and not forget about them, but almost put them on the back burner a little bit. The one thing that I would really recommend that you need to focus on from an optimization standpoint, and this gets into when, ongoing campaign management, is updating the image ads and updating the ads. So typically, like every 3 or 4 days, ads need to be refreshed. Otherwise, the algorithm in Facebook will just kind of take them out of the mix, and you'll see impression numbers drop significantly. So every 3, 4, 5 days, try to get in there, refresh the image ads, or refresh the images in your ads, and then also just maybe little tweaks to the ad copy here and there.
Okay, I think that's all the time we have for today. So if you have any further questions, feel free to email Chad directly his email is chad@portent.com. You can see that on the screen right there. And make sure to use the hashtag, you don't have to do the hashtag in email, but if you do contact him on Twitter with @Chad_Kearns, you can include the hashtag. Today's webinar will be sent to you in presentation and video with a follow-up email from GoToMeeting, and we look forward to having you join us in our next webinar in September, hosted by Michael Wiegand, our analytics extraordinaire. Well, that's the title I have for him, but he's our analytics architect, and it'll be on September 25th. You can look for more information about that on our Facebook page, facebook.com/portent.marketing. And thank you, everyone, and have a fabulous day.